Yeah, sure. Ready? Jill, ready? Okay, well, good afternoon. Thanks for coming, everybody. Last Thursday, July 14th, we discovered a badly decomposed body in a wooded lot at the corner of Pensacola Street and Fort Pierce Boulevard. An autopsy was conducted over the weekend. There were no physical signs of trauma on the body, and based upon a tattoo located on the body during the autopsy, as well as a necklace worn by a person who is missing, you have the bolo in front of us, we believe this body to be that of Jessica King, 26 years old. King was reported missing from her Lakewood Park home on July 3rd by her brother. She was last seen alive on July 1st. So we're thinking at least 13 days she might have been in that wooded lot. So as you can imagine, advanced decomposition of the body due to the extreme heat that we've experienced over these past couple of weeks. A definitive identification will be made based on DNA analysis, which is forthcoming, but that's more or less just a formality. A final cause of death will be determined once the toxicology analysis has been completed, which will take 8 to 10 weeks. So that's the conclusion of the first story. I'll ask any questions. Will, I know you have some.
Do you suspect foul play?
There was no signs of trauma whatsoever on the body. And as you know, in the bolo that we put out, this girl left the house under the influence of the synthetic drug Molly, which has a lot of side effects and a lot of consequences for its use. So I'm sure that might play a factor in her death.
Sorry, again, can you say how long she had been employed in the state?
She was reported on July 3rd, but she was last seen alive by her brother on July 1st, and we discovered her on July 14th.
Did you talk to any of the folks that she got in the truck with?
Yes, we did.
What did they say?
Nothing, right? Yeah. I have the lead detective back there. They really didn't say nothing.
But I mean, like, she got out of the truck and that was the last we saw of her?
That is correct. Yep, she got out of the truck. I went for a ride, got out of the truck, and she probably meandered into this vacant lot for whatever reason, and that's where she died.
So no criminal charges against the folks that she supposedly got in the truck with?
None whatsoever. And again, the autopsy revealed no signs of trauma whatsoever.
How do they say her demeanor were when she got out of the truck? Was she coherent? Was she intoxicated? Or?
Matt, any specifics?
She just wanted to get out of the vehicle and get away from the person she was with.
This is lead detective, Matthew Briglia, Briglia. Greg, you want to pose that question again to him? So,
What was her demeanor when she got out of the truck?
I was told that she was kind of anxious and just wanted to get away from the person that she was with for no real apparent reason. She just didn't want to be with the individual anymore.
Did he mention where she, because obviously wherever her body was found, how far is that from where she was last seen?
A block or so. Not very far.
Okay, so not far.
No.
So she just mentioned she wanted to get away from the person?
Well, she just wanted out of the vehicle. When somebody's under influence like that, their thinking is not rational.
Plus, they become very anxious about everything, right? Paranoid.
Absolutely.
Was that the state of her demeanor at the time she got out?
What was described to me, yes.
What was?
Anxious and not rational thinking.
Was anything found on her person?
Just her personal items, necklace and a cell phone.
I'm sorry, you said this, but I spaced out. Her body was found about a month. I know, it's surprising. Her body was found about a block from where she got out of the pickup truck?
A block or so, yes.
Okay.
And so it may be too soon to tell pending autopsy results, but you're saying it's likely she died because of overdosing on?
I got to wait on the medical examiner to finish their toxicology report to make that determination.
And did you guys talk about, is this a big problem in this area, or is it a growing problem?
Molly?
I'm not a narcotics unit. So.
Yeah, I mean, we see some Molly every once in a while, but I don't think it's a growing problem, no.
But it's a serious one.
absolutely. Any drug problem would be
Yeah.
a serious problem.
Do you often see overdoses related to Molly?
I haven't either. Heroin is the biggest one that we see in overdoses.
So I guess, but do you suspect her death is a result of drug use? I mean, obviously you don't have the toxicology back yet, but is that what you guys kind of suspect at the moment?
We're making that presumption, yeah. We'll know formally in 8 to 10 weeks, but no signs of trauma. So that's what we're going with.
So wait, you said she had no clothes on, right?
No, she was dressed.
She was dressed, okay.
Was this a friend? Was this a stranger? Was this a random person? Can you tell us anything about
That she was with prior?
Yes.
It was a family friend.
Just one individual?
Yes.
By the body being so badly decomposed, does that hinder the investigation of whether or not there was foul play or not?
No, when the medical examiner examines the body, they're very thorough. It doesn't matter how decomposed the body is, they're able to tell if there's foul play or not. So we're confident with their decision to say that there's no foul play.
Okay, any more questions on that topic?
Is it MATTAGW?
Yes.
Okay.
One more from Will.
Last name again, I'm sorry?
Briglia, Briglia.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the next topic is we had an inmate death at the St. Lucie County Jail on Friday afternoon at 5:30 p.m. A deputy at the jail was conducting rounds in the Delta Wing or D Wing. The Delta Wing is a portion of the jail where inmates who have exhibited behavior issues are housed in solitary confinement. These inmates are checked on every 30 minutes. At the time of the round of checks, the deputy found the inmate unresponsive in his cell. Life-saving measures were quickly administered by jail staff, and EMS was called. The inmate was transported by St. Lucie County Fire Rescue to Lawnwood Medical Center. He was pronounced dead from his self-inflicted injuries at Lawnwood. The inmate is identified as Joseph Eugene Alvera. He's 51 years of age. His picture is back there also. He was in jail on various drug charges as well as an outstanding warrant for failure to appear. He has an extensive history of cocaine charges and has previously served time in prison for those charges, and most likely was going to go back to prison. So all those things were playing, I'm sure, heavy on his mind. But that autopsy, has that autopsy been done on him yet? Yes, and it's confirmed he died of self-inflicted wounds. And I'll take any questions on that.
What were the self-inflicted wounds? Can you go into detail?
Well, he hung himself. In his jail cell, correct.
You mentioned Delta Wing?
D-Wing, correct.
D-Wing, and that's where inmates with special...
Discipline problems tend to be housed. His dorm was actually solitary confinement cells, and that's where he was housed.
Can you tell us about any of his discipline problems? What got him to the D-Wing?
He just bucked the system from the entire time he was there. He did not respect authority. He did not respect any orders from staff, so that's why he was in the D-Wing.
Have there been any suicide attempts in the past?
In the D-Wing or on him? His? I don't think so. Had he attempted suicide in the past? No, I don't think so.
Can you tell us what he used to hang himself?
What did he use to hang himself with?
A sheet.
Bed sheet.
And how often are people in that wing, I guess, watched over?
Every 30 minutes, they go through and physically check them, make sure they're okay.
Do they have any idea, clearly within 30 minutes, but do they have any idea how long, it had been since he had stopped breathing when they...
No, I don't think that was determined.
Okay.
Any other questions on that matter?
Real quick, you mentioned the charges. Previous charges of cocaine, and you mentioned he was possibly going back to prison?
Correct. Yeah, he was, because of his charges, most likely he was facing a large point system when he went back for sentencing. So that would have dictated that he return to prison. How about any other questions? No? Next story is the Lakewood Park burglaries over the weekend. At approximately 4:40 a.m. Sunday morning, deputies were called to the 6500 block of Pensacola Road in Lakewood Park for a vehicle burglary. While approaching the home, the deputies identified a male standing off to the side of the road. The deputy made contact with the male and, in questioning him, found him to be in possession of a woman's purse that contained numerous items such as Xbox games, perfume, sneakers, and other items. Additional deputies responded and began canvassing the neighborhood. At that time, 4 vehicle burglaries were immediately identified. Since yesterday morning, more victims have come forward, identified across Lakewood Park, and now we have 19 vehicle burglaries. The area that was concentrated on most of these burglaries were Pensacola Road, Fort Walton Avenue, Shannon Drive, Citrus Park Boulevard, and Brookline Avenue. If you think you are a victim and live in Lakewood Park, please contact the Sheriff's Office at 462-7300, 462-7300. And the reason why we want you to contact us is we did make an arrest that night of Alexander Parnell. He's 19 years old. He's from Indian River County, and we have recovered a tremendous amount of personal belongings from those burglaries. Many of which the people don't even know they were victims, but we have their stuff here. So in all these cases, it might surprise people, in all 19 car burglaries, they were left unlocked. So again, we are reminding people to lock your vehicles and secure all your valuables. It makes our job much easier, and it makes it much more difficult for the thief who has theft on his mind.
So you believe there were additional victims because you have so much extra stuff?
Correct. And you know, a lot of people, they leave their car unlocked, they go inside, they might not realize immediately that there's something missing, such as maybe something from the glove box or console, but we have stuff here. So
how much stuff do you have here?
How much stuff? Don't know.
And you probably can't tell us anything.
Right, yeah, because we want people to come and look at it. So
this guy, this 19-year-old guy, was arrested in connection with 4 vehicle burglaries?
Yeah, but we're going to most likely put the other ones on him too.
But it's suspected in as many as 15 more?
Correct. Yeah.
Any other homes had video surveillance?
I think we only had one home with video surveillance, correct? No?
And I don't know that it showed up.
Yeah.
Alexander was the one standing there, though, on the side.
That is correct. And our crime scene responded. We got some great prints from the vehicles. We're going to match those up with his in the next coming days, but I foresee him being charged with all 19 counts.
But at the moment, only the 4.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with where this neighborhood is, but is it close to a highway where the guy that you arrested could have just jumped off 95 or the Turnpike and went to this neighborhood and then took off?
Lakewood Park is our most northern community in St. Lucie County. It actually abuts up to Indian River County. Because he lived in Indian River County, we presume he just crossed the county line and came into this neighborhood.
Sounds like it's not too far from where you found the girl in Pensacola.
Yeah, it's in the same area.
Is that a dangerous area?
No, it's not a dangerous area. Again, 19 cars all unlocked. That's an invitation for someone to take advantage of the situation. And usually it's somebody just like this that's walking through the neighborhood that checks doors, finds them unlocked, and then takes advantage of it.
Sheriff, have you noticed alarming number of car burglaries recently? Because we've seen a lot it seems like every day in an agency where there's been a burglary, not just 1, 2, 3, but multiple.
I can tell you, summertime, we spike in car burglaries because juveniles are out of school. They tend to be roaming the streets at night. And because the days are so hot, they're staying inside and coming out after dark. And when you leave a car that's unlocked and there's someone that wants to take advantage of that, it's really simple, really easy to do.
Does it surprise you that people still leave stuff?
Yes, it does. And when you hear some of the things that are stolen, guns, diamond rings, wallets with the large amount of cash, you say, holy smokes, why wouldn't you lock that up or take it in the house? So,
Assuming this is a neighborhood where people feel pretty safe enough to.
yeah, it is a safe neighborhood. It's a middle-class, hard-working neighborhood. So, you know, people go to work, they come home, they park their car, they probably run in the house and thinking it's all safe haven for them, and they forget their valuables in their car.
So would he just be going around like trying to open people's doors?
That's what he does, correct.
Okay.
Anything else on that one?
What were the roads again? You said right there in Lakewood Park.
Lakewood Park, the roads are Pensacola Road, Fort Walton Avenue, Shannon Drive, Citrus Park Boulevard, and Brookline Avenue. And if my memory's correct, these are all on the north end of Lakewood Park. Northeast end. And he would access that on Emerson Boulevard, right? From Indian River County?
Crossing North Boulevard.
Crossing North Boulevard, correct.
I believe he did that all that night.
He did. A one-man crime spree.
What time did you guys go?
4:40 in the morning.
So what time do you think he started?
Probably midnight.
He gets 8-hour shifting, right?
Yeah.
You said he had a purse on him with some stuff inside. Where else did you guys find all of this stuff? Was it like in his car? Or?
Well, all that morning, our deputies were responding to stuff that was found along roadways, discarded wallets, discarded purses, discarded other stuff that maybe he didn't think was valuable. So we have all that stuff, too.
Okay, so it was that stuff plus what he had in the woman's purse.
Correct. Okay. Next story. The arrest of David Edward Gonzalez. Last night, deputies responded to the Best Western on US 1 in Port St. Lucie for a possible drug activity. When they arrived, they found David Edward Gonzalez asleep in his car. When deputies ran Gonzalez through dispatch, he was found to have 15 local warrants issued by Port St. Lucie Police Department. The warrants were issued back in December of 2015 and were for possession and distribution of child pornography. Gonzalez was arrested and booked into the St. Lucie County Jail on $450,000 bond. I believe he had first appearance this morning and remains in jail. That's a simple story. So again, our proactive deputies out there checking things, checking people. Any comments, questions?
You said it was child pornography.
And it was a Port St. Lucie's case, but we made the arrest. It looked like he'd been sleeping in his car for a while, so he was probably doing that to not be arrested, just moving around the county.
What day was that? I'm sorry.
That was last night.
Did someone call you and say?
There was drug activity in the hotel parking lot, and they found him asleep in his car there. He had nothing to do with the drug activity, but he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and our deputy was in the right place at the right time. I know we've had a tremendous amount of questions and even comments from the media about the recent law enforcement shootings across our nation. Before I get to my comments, I'll just read you one of the emails that I received this morning. And when I tell you that there's been an overwhelming outpouring of support, that's really an understatement. We have been inundated with text, emails, phone messages. There's a sample of a card and a letter that we received this morning. The letter on the board was accompanied by food for the entire staff here at Midway Road. And let me just read this letter. Good morning, Sheriff Mascara. This was sent at 10:30 this morning. First of all, let me extend my deepest condolences to you and those in the law enforcement community for shameful, irreprehensible attacks against men and women on the force. God laid it in my heart to reach out to you and all the chiefs and sheriffs in my area to let you know that I care, we care in this community. Words cannot express fully how I feel or may not be able to bring total relief, but hopefully they can bring some comfort to know that people in the community are thinking about you and your employees. I will continue to pray for you, your deputies, and this great country. That's one of many letters, like I said, that we receive. I could tell you that everyone here have heavy hearts, not only for the law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty, but everyone who has lost their life as a result of violence. Last night, I actually came in to our 7 p.m. briefing, told my deputies to be vigilant. You know, one thing I've discovered as sheriff, law enforcement personnel have the sixth sense, and the sixth sense is probably the most powerful asset they have. They can sense danger. They can know it before it happens. And I told them to rely on that sixth sense, especially right now. I told them to back each other up quite often. Don't ever take anything for granted, and be vigilant in whatever they're doing. Our community has been awesome during this time. I want them to continue to know that we support them, and we appreciate all the efforts that they have shown to support us. If our community sees anything out of the ordinary to them, I want them to call 911, let us know about it. But we're in this together, and all lives matter, and that's the message that I want to get out there today.
Sheriff, when something like this happens, does it take you back to just a couple years ago when you guys were investigating Gary Morales' death?
I made this comment this morning. My shroud has been on my badge more this year than probably all the previous 15 years. So it brings old wounds to the surface, and the last thing we ever want to see is having to bury one of our own or one of our neighboring officers due to an act of violence. I think we have a very, very good partnership with our community. I know I work on it daily, my deputies work on it daily, and we feel very fortunate that we have the community that we do. And yeah, it does hurt. Every time we see something like this across the nation, it opens old wounds for us too.
In light of this, Sheriff, are you making any changes? Are you having officers, deputies double up?
They're not doubling up, but they are responding in twos when they can. And we're going to encourage that for a while.
Can you just talk about the, obviously such a tragic event. I mean, you guys rush toward danger every single day. Can you talk about, does this really hammer home just how dangerous your job is when your, fellow brothers and sisters are being targeted for doing that job specifically, running into danger when everyone else is trying to get away?
Well, that's a great point. Last night I had more information than most people because we're updated in a confidential manner. But last night, when I came in and talked to the shift, I knew that this was a concerted effort yesterday in New Orleans to kill, or Baton Rouge, I'm sorry, to kill these officers. One of them called 911, said there was a subject walking with a long gun. The police officers and deputies responded to the scene. They couldn't find anybody. And what we now know is that person was embedded, hidden, and began firing at those first responding officers. So like I told my deputies, don't take any call for granted. If you feel something's not right, your sixth sense tells you it's dangerous, go ahead and back out of there. We could reapproach with more manpower if necessary.
Sheriff, have you been getting any threats or negative calls, negative letters?
I have not received any threats. We have not received any threats here, and we have not received any negative comments or emails or phone calls. I actually drove through the community last night for a couple hours. A lot of people stopped me, said they were thankful for our presence, thankful for our service. I don't do it often, but every once in a while I'll stop at Dunkin' Donuts for coffee. This morning I happened to do that, and a gentleman immediately came over, paid for my coffee, and said, it's a small token, but I just want to let you know you all are appreciated. So that's what we're finding in our community. How about anything else? Thanks for all being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.